Well, that was a wrong one played. This wasn't what I was going to play, but for some reason, that's what I clicked on. But it was a nice clip, right? Welcome to the channel. My name is Kubeir. I am a CICC licensed immigration consultant coming to you live from our new office. So excited about this. Uh, for people who did not know, we are launching, officially opening our new office today. The address, of course, is here. And if you're in the area, Toronto GTA area, then please do drop in 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. today. And we'll be happy to chat with you, discuss some things. We're also having an information session today at 2 p.m., 2 to 3 p.m. And where we will talk much more in details about the trends, analysis, things that can happen for you, work for you when you're inside Canada, problems you might face, flag polling, Ontario's immigrant nominee program, and the changes that have come to it, so many of that. And if you're here, please do drop in. We'll also be happy to answer your questions and, of course, share with you some very hot coffee. That's the phone number, by the way. Okay, so back with another episode of our weekly roundup, and that's what we're here to do. So let's get cracking with that one. I'm a great believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it, said Thomas Jefferson, the third president of America, or United States of America. And it's so true. A lot of people put a lot of importance on luck, and of course there might be a huge philosophy behind that, but at the end of the day, the harder you work, you'll realize that the luck comes easier to you. Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup, that's what we're talking about today. Stay up to date on the trends and news on our different platforms. We will talk about the PNP draws. There have been actually a few draws. Okay, the heading says Saskatchewan, but the draw is talking about Prince Edward Islands. So there was a Prince Edward Island draw which happened on the November of 17th. 141 candidates were invited through Labour Express entry streams. Now, a lot of people keep wondering, what is this Prince Edward? And you had a score of 62. Why didn't you get invited? Well, I've said this plenty of times. Prince Edward Islands is a great bait that a lot of agents or a lot of unlicensed consultants and all these companies who are set up their offices in, rather most of the companies who have set up offices in the big parts of subcontinent, they use this Prince Edward Islands as a bait to say, we will lodge your file in Prince Edward Islands. Look at the score; it's only 62. You will get through. And I must tell you that Prince Edward Islands is the smallest province in Canada. They also have the smallest amount of quota when it comes to PNPs. And trust me, they're not really interested in inviting people from outside the province, because they have so many people within the province itself who are applying to become permanent residents, who are applying for the nominations, and obviously the biggest preference goes to those individuals. I have very rarely heard of anybody getting invited from outside Canada for any of their programs. So don't lose hope. I mean, or rather, when I'm saying don't lose, I'm saying don't get disappointed. It's not that you were not picked up. It's just that how the program has been made. Unfortunately, they don't really give you too much of information of this sort, and neither do they publish any knock codes. So yeah, that's how this Prince Edward program rolls. Manitoba also invited 518 candidates under the Manitoba Provincial Nomination Program. This was held yesterday. Now, what happened is, obviously, we know the biggest news of this week is the NOC 2021 changes and the impact of it. But we will come to that in a bit while we're talking about the PNP programs. What Manitoba did is they made an announcement and they said that if you will create your new profile on the 16th, which was a few days back, then you will be eligible for the draw on the 17th. Because a lot of people, their profiles had become either ineligible, they had to create new expressions of interest based on the new knock code. Once they were able to do that, they were then eligible to get invited in this particular draw. And as you can see, the scores were pretty good, right? 616 was the minimum score for skilled workers in Manitoba. Skilled worker overseas continued to be quite high, actually, regardless of the fact that there were only not a lot of people may have not expressed their intent or may have not registered their application, registered their profile. In spite of that, the score remained quite high at 703. International education stream, no score is required for that. If you're eligible, you apply. They got 198 invitations. And out of all these, the people who were in express entry, the number of people who were invited were 125. Now, of course, express entry. The biggest change for this week, or the biggest announcement for this week, is the NOC 2021 changes. Finally, on the 16th of November, just the way IRCC said, they did implement without any fanfare, without any announcement. There was no tweet from anybody for that matter. Actually, no, Sean Fraser did tweet later in the day and said, and made it out all to be about uh, labor shortages and how they were going to take care of the labor shortages because of this NOC changes, which is a whole lot of baloney. However, what this NOC system does is NOC changes does. It's not like they made these changes only for the labor market shortages, which is what I find so ridiculous when the politicians come out and say these things. I mean, stay true to the fact, right? NOC systems had to be changed because they are changed every 10 years. NOC systems had to be changed because they had to make these changes because new occupations have come into place. A lot of occupations, their responsibilities, experiences, etc., have been redefined, and that's why the NOC systems were changed, not because you had labor shortage. Anyways, but that was that narrative. I was initially quite impressed with IRCC to see that the NOC changes were happening so smoothly, and I was like, my God, no, IRCC has got their act together. Finally, no glitches, nothing happening. But then you know what? As the day progressed, the glitches started coming in. We started seeing lots and lots and lots of glitches actually, and people started reporting that they were not able to make the changes for the NOC codes, especially for their spouses, to the extent that their spouse's entire work history was disappearing from the express entry profile, and later the entire details, all the details of the spouses were disappearing. They are now left in a bit of a limbo as to what do we do with our profile. And we will talk about that as well in a bit. But this glitch that IRCC has created, and what also then happened is that they, I just want to show you something else. IRCC was very quick on that day to issue an email as well. And that email basically said, and let me see if I can share the screen with you. Just one sec. They were very quick to send out the email as well. Yeah, I can share this email with you. And yes, this was the email that was sent out. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me make it slightly bigger if I can. Yeah. All right. Yeah, this is good. So it says, dear candidate, the current message is meant for you that on November 16th, we have made the switch from 2016 to 2021. You will not be eligible to receive an ITA until your profile is updated with your NOC code 2021, as ITA rounds will resume as early as 23rd of November. You are encouraged to do this as soon as possible. Obviously, when they sent out an email like this, people are really scampering. A lot of people are obviously want to make this change at the earliest. This email was sent out to most of the candidates in the express entry pool, and it confirms a couple of things. Firstly, that there would be an express entry draw, hopefully next Wednesday. But what about all the people who are unable to now update their express entry profiles? I mean, would they be left in the lurch? Would they not be able to update their scores? This is ridiculous, right? I mean, and this is what we have been speaking about from such a long time, that for IRCC to manage such a huge transition without a glitch, I mean, at least I never had that confidence, and that's why I was quite surprised that morning when I saw few things happening quite smoothly, and I said, my God, kudos to IRCC. These guys have got their act together. But then, as expected, the system started crashing. As of right now, don't be surprised if you're not able to log into the system. The system throws you out, system logs you out. You find glitches in your profile. If you do not make the changes to your profile correctly, then your application also becomes ineligible. Your profile becomes ineligible. And as I said, the biggest issue is with the spouse work experience and the spouse's profile by itself. Now, what do you need to do if at all you are facing this issue? How do you get out of this mess? Well, first of all, if you are at all able to complete your profile, your information, your details, even if it shows that you are married in your profile, please submit your express entry profile the way it is, so that your profile becomes active, eligible, and back into the pool. That's the first thing to do. After that, obviously, every single day, keep trying to see if you can make the changes. If you can make the changes, excellent. If you cannot, just revert back and go back into the pool so that you stay in the pool for the next draw, if at all the draw happens on 23rd. I mean, honestly speaking, after this mess, I'm not even sure how they can conduct that draw, because there are so many people who will be left in the lurch. But let's go back into that. If you can create your express entry profile, if you're not able to make changes to your spouse, even if your spouse's details have disappeared, does not matter. Go into the pool, because in your profile you've still shown that you're married. Whatever the glitch is from the express entry side, whatever the glitch is from the IRCC side, at least your profile will be active in the pool with the scores, and that's the most important bit. After you get your ITA, that's the most important bit. Once you have received your ITA, you would be able to make all the changes that you wanted to make in your express entry application, EAPR. And in your EAPR, you will be able to again add the details of your spouse information, etc. No problem there. Make sure, when in this case, if this is your situation, ensure that when you're submitting your application, you do add a letter of explanation about this glitch that is there, and how you created your or rather how you submit your profile without your wife's details, but you did add your wife's details after you have received your ITA. That is the best solution at this point of time, so that you are not left out of that draw, if at all it happens on Wednesday, 23rd. I am still quite skeptical. I'm really hoping that the draw happens, because I just showed you the email. They've said it, that the draw will happen. So if the draw does happen, that would be great. At least we will, have the scores dropping below. It is also a possibility that the scores are slightly lower, because a lot of people are facing issues. I mean, obviously, not everybody is as smart as you. Not everybody is as intelligent as you to be watching this live and to be watching and getting all this information, right? But I anticipate a lot of people will be having problems with their profile. They will be making errors. Their profile will become ineligible. A lot of people will not even update it. There are so many agents out there who do not even know that this change has happened. I'm not sure which rock they are living under, but that's the truth. So because of all those issues, if the draw happens on the 23rd, which is next week, and we're really hoping for that, the number of active profiles in the pool, I expect to see a drastic decrease in that number. At this point of time, it's 234,000 people in the pool. Let's see how many people are not able to update. Based on that, you can get an advantage if everything goes as the way it's looking like. The scores could very well drop below 490 in the coming draw itself. So that would be a great news if that happens, because that is something which we are really hoping for. Anyways, moving on. So the new occupations that are now eligible in the express entry because of the tier system are payroll administrators, dental assistants, nursing aides, pharmacy technical assistants, elementary and secondary school teacher assistants. There are some people who are tweeting, oh, suddenly Canada now wants to bring elementary and secondary school teachers. Well, they should at least read properly and see what they're saying. The assistants, they were earlier ineligible. And of course, the biggest one is the transport truck drivers, who are also now eligible in express entry. In other news, Nova Scotia has released a new Francophone immigration plan. As normal, the details of the plans are yet to be announced. But this is again another huge incentive and motivation for people who are still on the fence whether they should learn French or not. Well, if you're looking to come to Canada, at any point of time, learning French or being Francophone or having French as a second language is going to be of significant advantage. Now, this is where the PNPs have started making the changes. They have started realigning the whole process. Now, Bill C-19 is on the horizon. We all know how Bill C-19, no, we don't know, none of us know, how we can anticipate that Bill C-19 will have all kinds of categories. Those categories would have to do with the occupations, would have to be which province or which city in the province you wish to reside in. It would have your education, your work experience, language, from which country you have been educated. All these factors mixed into the fact of how they will make the categories. The categories is expected to be announced for Bill C-19 in the month of February 2023, because as per the law, the minister is supposed to announce these categories by the 5th sitting of the parliament after 31st of January. So that's going to be hopefully in the month of Feb, and that's what we'll be looking forward to. But provinces, after the NOC 2021 tier changes, have already started aligning their programs. And what is now more and more evident, because moving forward, provinces have the additional 20,000 quota. Earlier they had 85,000. Now they have 105,000 for the year 2023. So they have a 20,000 additional quota. And the biggest stress now is, or the biggest importance now is going to be on the rural areas of different provinces. And that is what has been evident from Ontario, from BC, will also happen possibly from Saskatchewan. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm assuming that if the two big provinces have done that, some other provinces are also going to follow suit because it only makes more sense. So what are the changes at this point of time? British Columbia nominee program has changed its point system to modify the point allocation for applicants. The points have been removed for the NOC skill levels. Okay, hold on. Oh, sorry about that. As a result, the number of points assigned to human capital economic factors of applicants has been increased. So you do not get points for the NOC skill level. Earlier, you used to get points for NOC 0A or B kind of scores. Now they have removed that. Additional points have been given to professional designations. That's what they have been. That's what they will be giving additional points for. And the professional designations, language proficiency in both English and French, points have also been added for work experience outside of metropolitan Vancouver. This is what they're looking to do. PNP targets have been. Some people just don't understand, right? Yes, immigration. I mean, the PNP targets are rather continuing to increase. They have been increased by 20,000, as I just told you. Similarly, I mean, though this presentation is already over, but I would like to add one more here. And let me see if I can do that. Also, Ontario has made the changes. Ontario has made the changes to its program itself, whereby the new NOC codes have been identified for in-demand skill stream. Now, mind you, this changes on Ontario's PNP program has got nothing to do with the human capital priorities at this point of time. Obviously, the NOC codes for human capital priorities are also going to change. You definitely will be seeing more NOC codes there. Earlier, it was only 6 NOC code in IT. Now I expect to see 7 to 9 NOC codes in IT because of some additional NOC codes that have been added. But at this point of time, those haven't been announced. The human capital priority streams changes have not been announced. The NOCs have not been announced. Only once they start conducting their draws, we will know. For Ontario, one of the biggest thing is that they are closed until the 21st of November, in the sense like they will not be accepting any new activity in Ontario's portals until the 21st of November, because they want to make the changes in the NOC system. If you already have created your expression of interest, then you will need to resubmit your expression of interest. The EOI, the expression of interest scoring factors have changed. Now, for people who always get confused with the Ontario's provincial nominee programs, expression of interest for which you have to file an expression of interest is only and only for people who have a job offer or who have completed a master's or a PhD stream in Canada. Only those categories of people will need to create expression of interest. Everybody else, whether you are waiting for the human capital priority stream, whether you're waiting for the skilled trade stream, you don't need to do anything. You just need to have an active express entry profile. If your NOC code in the primary occupation is one that they are interested in, and your CRS score is within the range that they invite, then you will be invited. For everybody else who has a job offer or who has completed a master's or a PhD in Ontario, then this update is for you. The new NOC codes for in-demand skills streams have changed. Obviously, they were looking to make the changes in the NOC code as well. So they've already announced which NOC codes would be eligible now. Surprisingly, the truck drivers have been removed from this one. But also what they have done is they have now divided Ontario's PNP programs into 4 different regions. So now you have a region, or rather the geographical location of Northern Ontario. Then you have outside GTA, other than North Ontario. Then you have inside GTA, and then you have Toronto. Okay, so 4 areas. Obviously, at every single point of time, you will see North Ontario getting a lot of additional points when you will be creating your expressions of interest. Toronto will be getting the lowest points, if at all. I mean, I don't even think they'll be getting points, but they will not be seeing a lot of advantage there. So The job position offered in any location in Ontario, including Greater Toronto area, must be in one of the following occupations. So this is the criteria for the in-demand skills stream. These are the knock codes. I'm sure you can find this information on the Ontario's website as well. The job position offered outside the Greater Toronto area. So this is where it starts differentiating. If you are inside the Toronto area, then these are the knock codes, okay? Because this includes the Greater Toronto area. If you have these knock codes, then your job has to be outside the Greater Toronto area. Very, very important. If you have a job offer but you are inside the GTA area but your knock code is this, then you will not be eligible. So this is how they are trying to encourage people to move outside the GTA area, go into the other parts of Ontario so that they can diversify the population. As you can see, the knock code, the scoring factors for EOI have also changed. The tier 0 and 1 will get 10 points, 800. Tier 4 and 5 are not eligible in express entry, as you would already know by now. And similarly, occupational categories 0, 2, 3 will get 10. Occupational categories 7 will get 7 points. 1 and 9 will get 5 points. Occupational categories 4 and 8 will get 4 points. This would also make a huge difference when you are getting when you're filing your expression of interest. So I'm expecting to see a lot of changes happening or other interesting draws happening from Ontario as and when they're ready to conduct those. So this, at this point of time, is the latest that you have. The provinces are making lots of changes. As I said, they are looking to diversify the programs more towards their remote or rural areas or outside the main metropolitan areas. We are seeing that in BC. We are seeing that in Ontario. I'm sure very, very soon we'll be seeing this in Saskatchewan and Manitoba as well. I expect to see some changes there also. But apart from that, more or less, you would see more PNP programs, more PNP draws happening. And in some of those, some of you will also get invited, hopefully, and will also take advantage of that. That's basically all that I had for today's presentation. So one more time, if you are in the area, if you are around this, please do drop in today between 12 to 4 p.m. We are doing an official launch for our office. So we'll be happy to sort of chat with you, talk to you, of course, offer you great discounts on our services as well. That is the phone number. And if you still haven't subscribed to the channel, then please do. If you've subscribed, then you are a very, very smart and intelligent and an interesting human being. All right, and let's get on with the questions. Rohit says, recently got reply on the web form that application got approved and the mail was sent on 13th of June, but no email received. Check twice. Please suggest what to do. I'm very afraid. You are saying you've already seen your email. You don't have it. Have you checked the spam folder? That's the first thing. And if it's not even in your spam folder, then what you can do is you can write back to raise a web form again to IRCC and tell them that you haven't received the email and to send you the passport request or the approval letter in your account itself, in your GCK account. Request them. You can also call IRCC. You can also inform the agent to do the same thing, to send you the request letter, the passport request letter or the approval letter in your account, based on which you will then be able to access it and proceed. Don't worry, if you have the approval, hopefully you will get it through. My current address before I went to US is the same. However, while giving my address history, I don't declare this. If I don't declare this as my current address, it doesn't allow me to fill end date of this address. But to say no to the question, is your current address will be misread? Please help. I honestly have not been able to understand your question at all. So there is no way I can help you with this. If this is where you are currently living, this is where you currently live, then say that yes. Say yes that this is your current address. You cannot have two addresses as your current address. Okay. So if this is your current address, you will say yes to it, and then there is no need to end it. I mistakenly put primary knock code instead of knock 9999 when answering knock code and current work permit. AOR received. I have positive LMIA. I'm on postgraduate work permit. Should I worry? How to fix? Your primary knock code cannot be 9999. This 999959 is the knock code which establishes it's an open work permit. This knock code should only be mentioned when in the IRCC form it is asking you what is the knock code mentioned on your work permit? That is very, very specifically that question. And if you're in an open work permit, that's when you mention. If your primary knock code is this is serious stuff, my friend. You cannot put this as your primary knock code. That basically says you are not asking IRCC to. I mean, there is no knock code for you. That's what you're saying. So how is IRCC going to ascertain your eligibility? This is serious. If I was in your place, I would raise a web form, but I don't think a web form is going to help in this situation. You're saying you already have an AOR. I mean, I would create another express entry profile. That's the first thing I would do, so that I can get an ITA in the next draw. And in the meantime, I will ask IRCC to withdraw that application once I receive the ITA. Because there is no reversing, there is no correcting this. How can you choose your primary knock code as an open work permit knock code? Because that basically means there is no knock code defined specifically. My 1 year will complete on the 24th of November. Can I submit my profile now and get ITA by 23rd and claim 1 year experience? Yes, absolutely. You can create your express entry profile. You can receive your ITA. You can continue with your application but make sure you submit your application only after you have completed your work experience. I have endorsement with work permit support letter from one of the AIP provinces. Do I need to worry about the ties to the home country when I apply with spouse and kids? Well, at the end of the day, you are still submitting a temporary residence application, which is your work permit. The fact that you also have a permanent residence application ongoing, that does not matter. Or you may apply for a permanent residence, that does not matter, because your permanent residence application, God forbid, can be refused, may be refused. And in that case, your ties should always be there, so that you are looking to or would be willing to go back to your home country after the legal period of stay. So while the stress is not a lot on your home ties, you should still indicate that after completing your period of work experience, if your permanent residence is not approved, you'll be more than happy to go back within your legal period of stay. If the primary lost the job, what happens to spouse open work permit? Can she legally work while the applicant finds another job? Yes, there is no problem with it. If your spouse has an open work permit, your spouse can continue working legally without any issues until the validity period on her work permit, even if the principal applicant has lost their job, even if they're on the closed work permit, there is no problem with that. Can a person who's an express entry waitlist with a score of 468 apply for visit visa to Canada? Will this hamper the express entry? No, it does not hamper the express entry at all. You can absolutely do it. I'm on LMIA work permit, also eligible for postgraduate work permit, 18 months. If I lose job after submitting ITA, what happens to my LMIA 50 points? If I find another job with my PGWP, can I still gain 50 points? Well, if you have gained an LMIA and you're claiming 50 points for it, if that job, so basically what you have got is a job offer. The job offer says that this job offer is valid for 1 year after you become PR. Now, if you no longer have that job offer, and you choose to inform IRCC about it, and the employer informs IRCC that they have withdrawn that support, then obviously you lose that 50 points, and IRCC may, at their discretion, withdraw those 50 points from you, and by that you may, that could be a situation. But if you find another job with your postgraduate work permit, and you can, so finding a job with your postgraduate work permit, it does not give you 50 points. You need an LMIA. That is the most important factor. Which visa category to select for kids who come with spouse under AIP program? What would be the statement of purpose to mention for the spouse? Well, that's a lot of information you're asking on this platform. The statement of purpose is not a criteria, is not a requirement. You will just be basically expressing that they want to accompany you. They are your family. This is good for your family's well-being and for your mental well-being, mental health. And if the children are 3.5 years and 5, then you will apply for visit. If they're more than 5 years, then you will apply for their minor study permit. Would there be any changes in the Ontario's human capital priority streams? The only changes I expect in the human capital priority stream would be with their knock codes. Of course, the knock codes have to change. That is but natural. There is a possibility more knock codes are included, but we don't know at this point of time which ones they would be targeting at. Processing time for PR is up to 27 months. Can I go ahead and apply for a working holiday visa moving to Canada while I wait for my PR? Yes, you can. And the waiting time for PR is not 27 months. It's much less. Most of the applications are indeed getting processed much faster, much sooner. We have seen processing happening within 6 months, inside 6 months as well. Abe Home, thank you so much for the super sticker. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Received ITA on the 28th of September. Cutoff was on 504. Lost 5 points in October due to birthday. So the current score is 500. Should I decline ITA? Rest everything is same. By the way, chances of rejection due to this. You don't have to withdraw your ITA. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to decline your ITA either. You can simply continue, because if your birthday falls after you have received your ITA, then there is a public policy and the ministerial instructions which cover the situation. So you losing points because of your birthday after receiving an ITA and before AOR will not impact your application. Your application will not be declined because of this factor. I am an economist by degree, but I can choose administration manager or HR manager or economist easily. Which knock code should I choose? Well, you should choose knock code based on the best matching job description with the knock. That's how you choose a knock, not based on whatever you feel in terms of the job title or your education. The idea of matching your knock code is only to match that with job duties and responsibilities. Can the job duties or reference letter be copied from the job description given on company's website on job posting? Well, yes, you can, but if at all, you can tailor make it to your exact job and your exact job description. That is always better. But yes, as long as it's on the company's website, it could be copy pasted and mentioned on your reference letter. There is no problem for it. Score of 580 for MPNP from overseas. Do you think any chance for me? Well, it looks quite difficult. The last draw is at 703, as you can see. At any point of time, it always depends on how many invitations they are issuing and how many people are there in the profile. But 580 looks difficult at this point of time. I am on postgraduate work permit. My wife is on spouse open work permit. Our permits will be expiring in October. My score is 430. I'm worried if my permit will be extended. The permits will not be extended. Postgraduate work permits will not be extended after 31st of December 2022. IRCC has already made that very, very clear. Congratulations on your new. Thank you, Deepthi. Really appreciate that. What is the current timeline for an ECOPR to be issued if the application is approved? I called IRCC and they said application is still in process, which is weird. Well, for some reason you think it has been approved, right? I mean, how do you know it has been approved if you called IRCC and they say the application is in process? So I'm not really sure what you are. I mean, so it's not been approved until it's been approved, and that's all that I can say. But the average processing time is 6 months if you have submitted your application after July this year. I'm in Canada on open work permit. My PR is in process. If I travel outside Canada and PR is approved, will I be able to return back with my work visa, or should I apply for PRTD? You cannot apply for PRTD because you are not a permanent resident. You will not get your COPR if you're not in Canada. If you travel outside Canada, you should inform IRCC you're not in Canada. And only once you are back in Canada, you will tell them that I'm back in Canada, please process my COPR. They will send you the portal request where you will upload your photograph and you will tell them that you are in Canada, you'll confirm your address. At that point of time, they will start processing your COPR. So once you get your COPR, at that point of time, you will then become a permanent resident. And after that, if you travel and if you wish to return back to Canada, you don't have your PR card, that's when you will travel. That's when you will apply for PRTD. In the meantime, can I return back to Canada with your work visa? Yes, of course you can. There is no problem with that. If I submit my tax returns as cash salary proof, will IRCC consider my asset declaration as well? Because sometimes people have more financial value than declared to government. I am not sure what you're asking me here at all. Your asset value has no relevance in your application for permanent residence in express entry or provincial nominee program for that matter. So I'm not sure what you're referring to. As far as cash salary proof is concerned, the best way to do it would be to get a cash salary certificate from your employer, or a pay stub, or a voucher, or something that shows that your salary was indeed paid in cash by the employer. 480 years, 1 year work permit on hand. Any chances up to March? Very difficult to say how the scores will progress, but it certainly looks a possibility, provided they continue issuing a lot of invitations the way they have been. I'm a Punjabi. I want to go to Brampton. Please tell the scope in Brampton. What scope of in Brampton should I tell you? If you're looking for scope, then I suggest that you just check the news, you check online, and you search for scope, because I don't even know what scope you're asking me. Well, Brampton is a big city. It's a very nice, clean, new city, and there could be plenty of opportunities. People have mixed reviews, people have mixed feelings, and about the city. But yes, I think uh, there's a lot of subjectivity involved in that. And as far as scope is concerned, you should always search online. That is where you'll get the best answers. Abe Home, thank you for the super chat. Unfortunately, I don't see any question there. Minesh Patel, after getting LMIA, can I work part-time with postgraduate work permit? Getting LMIA and getting a closed work permit are two different things. Just because you have an LMIA does not mean you have a closed work permit. So as long as you have an open work permit, you can continue to work for any employer. There is no problem, even if you have an LMIA. Abe Home, thank you for the super chat again. I'm sorry, there is no question there at all. Kids age below 9 accompanied with PR applicant, do they need COVID vaccination? No, there is no requirement for any COVID vaccination or COVID test at this point of time to enter into Canada. Can husband and wife make two profile, one husband as primary and in second profile, husband as secondary? Does the not has to be the same in both? Yes, both spouses can make separate express entry profiles whereby they are primary applicants in each of their profiles with their spouse being secondary. There is no problem with that. Spouse's foreign experience doesn't really matter, and their knock codes does not give you anything in express entry, so it doesn't really matter. What do you think about the targeted draws from Jan 2023? I have 458 with LMIA and 2 years of experience. First of all, I don't think there are targeted draws in Jan 2023. In my opinion, the targeted draws would probably start after April, May of next year, not before that, because in the document shared by IRCC, they have very clearly mentioned that they have to make the changes within the system, and the changes will only be incorporated by spring of 2023, which is post-March. Therefore, I don't see the draws happening in Jan 2023, first of all. Secondly, if you have an LMIA and you have 458, well, I do not know what your occupation is and what your job is, so I can't tell you how the job occupation draws will affect you at all, because we don't know that either, because the occupations have not been identified at this point of time. The more important factor is that if you have an LMIA and a job offer, there is going to be an advantage for sure. I absolutely see new express entry revisions happening. I mean, I actually foresee that. IRCC has already made announcements that they would be revising the express entry scoring factors. So once that happens, you will be able to see a lot of benefit in that as well. Kishan Patel says, I have received approval email and also uploaded address and picture, haven't received ECOPR. Okay, all right, now we get it. Then if you have received approval email, then that's how you know you have received an approval, and you called IRCC and they told you it's still in process. That's absolutely fine. So you did not get an approval email. You got an mails which says that they are now looking to finalize your application. They haven't finalized yet. Until they issue your COPR, your application has not been finalized. I'm assuming that because you said you uploaded address and picture, it basically means you're inside Canada and you had the portal request. At this point of time, because of the backlogs and the issues, they can take up to 2 months after you have uploaded everything to send you the COPR. That is the timeline we have seen in a lot of cases. So yeah, that's something which you can anticipate as well. In express entry profile, my spouse work experience for 1 year in Canada, but points are not calculating. Why? Well, the answer to why is because you have possibly made some error in your data entry. Once you correct that entry and the day, whatever you entered, then you would see the points in your profile. The data shared regarding MPNP is not correct. The score for skilled worker in Canada is 797, not the 616. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will talk to the person who made the presentation and make sure that we have the correct data next time. Thank you for that. If IRCC doesn't allow to transmit the profile, if spouse knock code is not updated in the profile, hence still waiting for the glitch to be cleared. Okay, IRCC is not allowing you to transmit the profile if spouse knock code is not updated in the profile. Well, it all depends what your CRS score is. If without your spouse's details in your express entry, if your CRS score is still more than then 493, 494, 492, then you can still show your spouse. You can make that change. You can show a spouse as not a company and go ahead and submit your profile. That way, at least you'll be back in the pool. And after you receive your ITA, because adding your spouse is not going to bring your score lower than the drawn score, you would still be able to add your spouse. You will still be able to include your spouse in your application, and there is no problem with that. Give it a shot. I'm at 476. The next year is looking gloomy. There is nothing in any PNP for knock 51112 except waiting. Suggest something. I can't, unfortunately, because I don't really know your profile. That's the first. Secondly, if you think PNPs is not a possibility, then my strong suggestion is to add French as a second language, because that is where the biggest differences will be seen. Okay. Sorry. How to find jobs for HR outside Canada? Well, you would be looking for jobs online, just like you would look for jobs anywhere else in the world, exactly the same way you look for jobs in Canada. I'm an accountant by profession. Right now, I'm doing my GT IELTS. I've done masters, 2 years work experience. What are the chances of getting my PR? I don't know. You will have to check on IRCC website, check your CRS scores, check your eligibility. If you're outside Canada, then my suggestion is also to check the provincial nominee programs and yeah, and see if you can add French, because that would definitely be needed. If I have a blood relation in Saskatchewan, does there any chance for any nomination? And is there any chance change of stay living in Saskatchewan as of now is 1 year? I don't expect any changes to happen for their program for their relative points. I mean, and as far as chances for nomination is concerned, it all depends on your points as to how much your points are and what you do with that. I'm standing with 500 points. In your opinion, what are the chances of getting an ITA? I mean, I'm not sure. Are you really trying to pull my leg? You're trying to joke. You're trying to be funny. I don't know what it is. But my suggestion to you is please check the express entry draws, the previous draws, the past trends, and see how they play out. And you would have a good idea of what your chances with 500 points are. Finally, this one we bring to an end. Once again, thank you so much for joining in. That's our phone number for the office, and that is the address. If you're in the area, please do drop in between 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. We'll be happy to host you, share a cup of coffee with you, chat with you, and discuss what you can and cannot do as far as your PR applications are concerned in Canada. Thank you so much for joining in. You stay safe, take care, and I shall see you next time.